we're going to start the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting, January 3rd, 2018. Happy New Year. It's 5:03. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, this is... Okay.
Taller.
Item 2, approval of the minutes, December 20, 2017.
Make a motion to approve as written.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Review of the treasurer's warrants, payroll, 211, 214, and 1.
1 is the first one of 2018.
Oh, there you go.
B, accounts payable, 209, 210, 212, 213, and 315.
Should be 215.
215, correction made.
I make a motion to approve the payrolls and the accounts payable with the correction of 315 to 215.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Opens.
We have no guests today. Selectmen concerns?
I'm good.
Committee report. Looks like you got something regarding Abby Fowler?
Yeah, well, I emailed Brian Howard to see if he would be available for a meeting, and he said he's not available until the 8th. Family illness. I think I sent you all the message on the Adams real estate. I had called the main commercial realty, and he said the realtors don't like to take school buildings because they sell them for next to nothing, and so they don't get to make the investment back that they put the time and effort into selling it. I sent you a link to the Frankfurt one that this guy has sold.
Did you get to
he
read
did
that
sell
story?
it? I read it, yeah.
That was $250,000, but that was 24 acres in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that sounded more like a school that was up to par that they.
Yeah, did
A
you see the
little more
pictures?
current.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the
It was
piles of
beautiful.
chairs, it looked very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it had just been discontinued like
Yep.
a year or two.
Yep,
Yeah.
not at all
More
what
like the
we have.
Parkman School almost is what I was thinking of for a building.
Oh.
But I was trying to kind of gauge, okay, if that brought 245,000, what is ours worth? Could be a tenth of that.
Oh, I would say less than that.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know, I mean, it's hard to know.
Well, and this Adams is also an appraiser for banks, so, I mean.
Good place to
I
start
don't know
though.
where, you want me to start with him then and have him do what?
If he's willing to come look at it and
Okay.
start,
Yeah, I would think if we could get him to come out and do a
Yeah.
walkthrough,
he
and
might
give us
say,
some
I have
numbers."
no interest in listing this property.
Sure.
He might say, yeah, I would list it, but here's what you guys' expectations should be.
And he's in Bangor.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not that,
I mean, he's not gonna charge us to come look at it.
No,
I mean, realtors normally,
right.
they wanna list it.
Right. Either way, I think it would be, we may need that information for later on.
Yeah.
I also think he'd be very helpful, perhaps. What I would want him to have in his hand is some of the conditions that the committee has worked on.
Yeah.
Because he could say, from a commercial standpoint, how impactful that
Sure.
might be, and whether those expectations are realistic. So, hopefully we're able to advance with Mr. Howard, and we don't have to worry about that.
That's-
But I think it's good to have a parallel track.
Yeah, that was interesting, that article. That was cool.
That's all I have.
Okay. Timing is everything. New business, Dr. Cabot.
Perfect timing.
You know, I'm a little nervous here at this large group. I
You-
guess I don't-
You don't even have to
I
stand,
say
you don't
do
want
a
to.
I won't stand up. Just give you a quick update, and especially with regard to the town, on where we're going with the potential Eastern Maine Health System. We have extended the interim agreement that we're into right now with Eastern Maine. I think the chances of integrating with them are very high. A couple of hurdles is the bottom line at the hospital with regard to, I think the loss is going to be more than $1 million for this year. It'll probably come in somewhere around $1.4 million. And I think administration has really done a good job looking under every single rock you can. Reimbursements, even for the critical access hospital, have been, the government just continues to cut away. So where does it leave us? I think what you're going to see, and I'm hoping for after talking to the CEO at Eastern Maine Health Systems, Michelle Hood, who I like. I have not trusted Eastern Maine with regard to continuation of what they're going to do for rural health. Okay, that's the bottom line. It's really completing the mission statement and making sure that people in our area have access to health care. So if you have your heart attack, God forbid, you're not stuck in an ambulance 45 minutes outside the TPA target to take care of your system. I don't think there's any question. With a new oncology center going on, I think Eastern Maine really is going to be dedicated to making our system better with regard to access. In addition, I think you're going to see incorporation, which I think I've always looked for to occur with Greenville, so that now we'll put the two systems together, have a county system in Piscataquis. I think we'll be able to get rid of Mayo's clinic, combined with this new clinic with Eastern Maine Health Systems that they have constructed. We're going to have better access. You're going to see the cases that are now bypassing Mayo with regard to one very important system, and that's the obstetrics system, which obviously we're not making any money. I think to really break even, you probably would have to have 300 cases a year. We're just barely doing 100 now, so that would make that better. Surgery, so I think it's a real good system. I think in terms of costs to Sangerville with regard to how this consolidation is going to occur, should in fact not be, it should cost us nothing. Okay, that's how it's looking right now, and I think that is very, very, very important. Our indebtedness in the system, theoretical indebtedness with regard to bond issues, etc., is about $192,000 according, as I asked the finance people. I don't think that's going to become an issue. How it's going to occur in terms of dissolution of the HAD, I think is near impossible. I think it would take forever. The target date for a definitive interim agreement, okay, is now at September. A definitive agreement is now extended to September 1st of 2018. That's to get in place this agreement, which includes a special work plan and sustainable actions to keep Mayo, Eastern Maine, et cetera, going. But I think that's going to happen somewhere around September 2018. So I think it's very positive. As I said, the impact on the town in terms of financially, which is so important, I don't think will be really, shouldn't be anything. So that's where we stand right now. So anybody have any questions on that?
Well, what about the ambulance service?
That's my second point.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
and that's important. The ambulance service has been a question the board has really been discussing now. We've been kicking this around for 2 years, and I'm sure even longer. What do we do with the ambulance service? I think, and that's what I'm asking you, and that's what I think we're going to need to be asking people. I don't think the hospital, at this juncture, the hospital hasn't asked for anything, but I think it's going to come to the point, I think with a loss of somewhere around $800,000, something's got to give. If we're going to have, and I think the only way for the hospital to sustain itself financially is a consolidation with Eastern Maine. But if we're going to get closer to that break-even number that they want to see, it's never going to occur. But if we're going to have a sustainability plan where we're looking better and better and better on the bottom line, we're going to have to do something with the ambulance service. I think there's been a proposal. They've looked at the numbers with regard to, okay, let's ask the towns to participate based on the number of runs that each of the towns has. I don't think it's unreasonable. Sangerville itself has about 190, believe it or not, 192 runs per year. Places like Dexter and Dover, the two biggest users, are in 1900
Whoa.
plus. I mean, lots and lots of runs. Here's the problem. Under our current system, there are 50% or more, I think, of runs that we can't bill, the hospital cannot bill for. In other words, if you press the button that says, I've fallen down and I can't get up, we have to go, the hospital has to go and make that run. There's absolutely no reimbursement whatsoever. Putting that person back in bed, the ambulance crew, they come back, zero. You can't bill for it. However, if we can bill through the Greenville system, which is part of the Eastern Maine Health Care System, not Eastern Maine Medical Center, Eastern Maine Health Care Systems, that's a whole different reimbursable formula. So again, that's part of the potential positivity. I think what's going to happen, just to give you a heads up, first of all, I'm a believer we have to have an ambulance service. I really believe that. God forbid, again, elderly, young, trauma, I just think it's important. I think what's going to happen is, as the system needs equipment, let's say they need a new ambulance, I think they will come and ask each of the towns, okay, can you put in $3,000 or $4,000, based on buying a brand new ambulance. I don't think they will go to the formula. The formula is very significant for some of the larger areas like Dover and Dexter. I think that number would come out over $50,000. And for them to come up with that kind of stuff, I think you're dreaming. I think for a town like Sangerville, it could be as high as $10,000. I think if we take an attitude, or the board feels, let's all get together on buying a new ambulance together, all 13 towns, I think that's going to be a better approach. So the two pieces of information for you all, as being part of the town and as our town manager, is number one, is it the general consensus that we need an ambulance service? I would predict that's going to be yes. And number two, are we amenable, once that occurs, to donating with the other 12 members of the HAD to a project that involves somehow lessening the burden of the financial impact on the hospital, with implications based on equipment. In other words, this ambulance dies, they sell that piece of equipment, whatever is left of that, they take that as a part of the balance to buy a new piece of equipment. So again, nothing is in stone. This is in the discussion stage. I think the board has agreed to have members, Amanda Thomas over in Guilford, who's the chair, myself as the vice chair now, to have board members go to all of you. Dexter's the only difference, I think, run by council over there. So go to their council, the rest of the select people in each of the districts, town managers. What do you think? So that's basically where we are right now with this whole process.
Has there been any thought or talk about the ambulance being privatized? I know in a lot of areas that's
Great question.
an option. I don't know the benefits or lack of.
That is a fantastic question. Because my proposal initially was, why don't we go out to Capital or someone like that? Let's give them even the buildings that we have, okay? Let them pay for the crews, sell them the ambulance service for $1, okay? Which would immediately put us in a break-even situation for us, which is, I think that's all we're looking for. If that improves the bottom line, which shows a performance improvement on our bottom line for the hospital, and you could make up 600,000 based on $1.4 million or $1.2 million, man, oh man, I mean, we're talking over 50%. That should be a winner to begin with. Eastern Maine's attitude, basically right now, is the only hospital left that they're going to look at in the state at this juncture is Mayo. That's it. Lincoln, my understanding is, has approached them to say, take us over,
Please.
and they've said, under no circumstances. And I think we, as a hospital, are unique. Because of the Greenville, they're losing, I think they had well over a $2 million loss up in Greenville. That's my understanding. So the only way that they can really salvage Greenville, in my opinion, is Mayo. So again, the long answer to your question is, I believe it was looked at, and there was not a lot of interest. The only interest came if, in fact, this came together and they could bill through.
That's it.
Right.
If they can't
So
bill
they
it,
can
it's
make
not gonna
money
work for
too.
them either.
That's
You
right.
gotta be able to bill it.
That's right.
If the towns ultimately are put in a position where they have to debate participation in this, I suspect it's quickly going to kind of, the discussion is gonna be built around usage. If you have such disparity between, I mean, if Dexter's using 20-fold what Sangerville's using, Sangerville's not gonna wanna split evenly with Dexter
Right.
to buy a new ambulance, and that just seems reasonable. But at the same time, I can see if you've got two major parties that are gonna essentially buy 80% of the ambulance, that may not fly very well either. Is there state statute that requires an ambulance service, or?
No.
No.
So actually, it would be federal based on our critical access hospital status, and we are not required by any means to have one. I think the fact, very much like the hospital, it's been here for so long, people really don't think about it anymore.
Right.
The fact that we have the quality hospital that we have in our area to provide access is a fantastic, it's not a right, it's a wonderful luxury. God forbid you do have a heart attack, that they can treat you with TPA. Now, whether they're going to do your ruptured aneurysm anymore, that's a different story. But they can transport you that quickly or with helicopter down to where you need to be. So again, it's part of the whole system. My feeling is, as not only a board member, but more importantly as a physician and as a member of this town, is the bottom line is access, quick access, affordable access to health care for we as rural people, not someone living in Bangor or anywhere else. To lose that system and the access to that system, to me, and as I said, we've been here over 30 years now, and having built that surgery department, which is a lot different now, and medicine's different, would be a tragedy for our people. We in rural America truly are treated, in this area maybe not so much, but in the majority of people, with 80 critical access hospitals closing in the last 7 years in the United States, rural communities, places like Calais losing OB, okay? This is a serious dilemma for rural people. So again, I hear exactly what you're saying, and when we looked at this as a board, a starting discussion, the feeling was, I have all the numbers, and they didn't want to make them public because the initial thought was exactly that. If somebody is using 80% of the service, hey, they should get hit for the tag. When you looked at the numbers, as I said, for the hospital to come to Sangerville and say, you got to put in 8 or 10,000 based on 192 calls, Dexter 50 grand, this, that. The idea of coming to the towns now and asking for that kind of money isn't going to fly. Not in all 13 districts. And in my opinion, really everybody should participate. So the board kind of thought about it again and said, well, wait a minute. If there's a project where there's an ultimate goal, instead of just saying, give me this X number of dollars, which basically, is based on, I believe, either $200,000 or $250,000 quote contribution to the bottom line, okay, basically, as opposed to saying, okay, let's go to the towns if we have to, or if this is reasonable based on people wanting an ambulance service, of $100,000 ambulance versus putting $250,000 in a pot that nobody knows. Well, they'll know where it goes. That would be more palatable for the towns. One of the concerns, one of the things that came up was, okay, let's not do the Eastern Maine health systems, and let's go and think about taxing all of the 13 towns. And let's not even, let's not consider the Eastern Maine affiliation. I mean, there's no way in hell, pardon me, that's going to flush. I mean, we're working on decreasing mill rates, and this was not a large contingent of the board. This was not a large contingent by any means. I'm happy that the rest of the board, the vast majority said, there's no way that we can go to the towns and say, okay, let's ask for a tax contribution and let's up your mill rate, which would up your mill rate 2 and 3. Who knows?
Well, I think it'd be a tough sell. Well, there's still a lot of people in these towns, myself included, we grew up without the hospital. No, I mean, and probably people died because you had to go to Bangor.
But I mean, at that time, I remember when we came here, Plummer was here.
Yeah, Dexter was this.
Right.
Right.
And Milo, I remember
Yeah.
Dr. Gonzalez.
Greenville was pretty vibrant at that time.
Yeah.
But everybody, you basically had to survive to get to Bangor. That was, if you were bleeding,
Wow.
that's where pretty much where you went.
Well, I mean, we got to the point at one time where he had a ruptured aneurysm. I remember pretty well-known people who ended up sadly with ruptured aneurysms. We always did at Mayo. It became just more and more and more of a facility that was somewhat of a fish out of water. Okay, Millinocket shared kind of the same thing, and Lincoln did. Holton was just a little bit different, but you're right. I mean, it just improved and improved, and kind of had a lapse, and is now back on the upswing. My opinion is, with this oncology center and with the amount of cancer in this area, I got to tell you, looking at this facility, I don't know if you've seen it, looking at what appears that Eastern Maine, I'll take you through it sometime, Eastern Maine Health System has said, hey guys, this looks so good. Not only are we willing to make sure that you have one oncologist up here visiting, but we're going to go to 2 and to have extra stuff with regard to what we're willing to do with chemotherapy, etc. So that look for our people in this area, instead of us having to go all the way to Brewer, God forbid, and you being able to get, if you decide, your treatment here in our towns, to me, that alone is a positive. Bottom line is, Mike, we're going to go, if in fact it works, which I think it will, with Eastern Maine Health Systems. Impact on the town dollar-wise should be 0. Okay, if in fact, and my feeling is, if we can get this together quick enough, and I hope the rest of the board feels the same way. If in fact this occurs, the ambulance service in that situation, that's Eastern Maine's problem. Okay, they have the ability immediately to go and bill through Greenville, let them work that out, and as far as I'm concerned, let that be part of their package, and then the impact again from that standpoint, let's keep the service, let's let them worry about the bottom line and see where that goes, so we in fact don't have to come up with anything. I mean, look, you can only get so much blood from the stone. In our area, our little town, we're stretched enough. People are having trouble paying their taxes. So, again, if we can get the big entity to come in, if they can even break even on this possibility, if they can bail out Greenville, get a better service out of Mayo, in fact, I think they can at least break even with Mayo, if not make money, and the number of referrals that come from Mayo would continue as opposed to St. Joe's, which, again, people will always have that choice. I think it's a win-win for them, and it's a win-win from us in terms of access to care, quality care, and it doesn't cost us anything off our bottom line, i.e. taxation out of the process. And affiliation costs us nothing. So, again, I'll keep you up to date. I just felt that, you guys are making big decisions on everything all the time. You, Lois, as town manager, I think it's very important. And Terry has been fantastic with the website. I just got a call from Amanda Thomas and the CEO at Mayo and said, wow, because I've really encouraged the other towns to do the same, and she's done a great job putting all that stuff on. And I think people should know and be transparent. They think the hospital's making money left and right.
Yeah, they do.
And you know, as stingy as all the towns are, because we all, if that place closed, it definitely would affect our property values.
And you know
Not
what?
in a good way.
No
You bet, and you know what,
question.
if it
No
closes,
question.
it ain't never coming back.
That's right.
It would not be a good thing.
No,
No.
it would, well, right off the bat.
It'll look like
we're
another
talking about
Fowler.
Yeah, yeah.
400 FTEs, full-time employees, which basically would affect through insurance, et cetera, over 1,400 families. So, Mike,
That's
you hit it right
huge.
on the head.
I have clients who want to relocate and you know, they're in their 60s, 70s. How far to the hospital? How far to the doctor? I mean, it makes a difference.
That's right.
Without question.
It does.
I think you hit it absolutely on the head. And again, I think we as rural people, if you decide that you want your care here and when I first came, people were upset with you when you said to them, I'm gonna have to transfer you somewhere. We didn't transfer a lot, or I'm gonna get you a second opinion, and they were, what do you mean I can't be treated in my own hospital, you know? So, again, I will keep you up to date on everything. These are really important decisions, and I want to. And we, as Sangerville, our little town, between Terry and the website, with all of you being informed, all of us being informed, Sangerville is so far ahead of everybody else that that makes me happy. I'm doing my job then. So.
Well, we appreciate the update.
No, that's, I appreciate what you guys do, so that's where we are in the process. And I didn't mean to take up so much time.
Any other questions? B, banking for the town funds. This was very encouraging. Did you all get to read the
Yes,
emails?
yes, yes.
It's almost, you gotta make a little noise.
Yeah,
Hello?
right.
It looks, do we each have a copy of those
Yes.
emails?
Yes, you have, from Bangor Savings, the emails, and I did just the back sheet here that gives you of the proposal. And if you're looking at that sheet, you'll see a little over halfway down, it says estimated net monthly service charges. So they're gonna charge us $100 a month to use Bangor Savings.
Okay, wait. We're talking about Bangor Savings, not Camden, right
Right.
now? Okay.
So your balance that's gonna be required to offset the charges is $171,000. But on the average daily balance of 1.5, your net, interest should be around $11.48. That's how we read that one.
I didn't get one, so.
Yeah, you did.
Where? Oh, I was looking for that blue ink.
Is this
Sorry.
moving all of our money over to Bangor Savings?
This would be moving everything.
This is their proposal.
Yeah, this is their proposal.
If we move everything.
If we move it, yeah.
Everything to Bangor Savings.
And so when I looked through the whole proposal, there wasn't anything in there about CDs or anything like that. And so that was the emails where I started to explain more about, doing the 30 or 60 day and then another 30 or 60 day. And so then she came up with the CD rates for us, and then this CDARS, which Camden also offers at different rates. They have 4, 13, 26, and 52 week for the CDARS. I did talk to Rhonda at Main Highlands, and she said they're coming out with a 3-year CD at 3%, but you have to leave it for 3 years. You can take the interest monthly, but you can't touch the principal. So that is,
If you do, what do you lose?
But if you do what?
If you.
there's probably a penalty.
Yeah, normally though, the penalty with a bank is an interest penalty.
Yeah, I
Not,
did
they
not
can't
see
penetrate your principal. So you don't really, all you're risking is your interest. And if you don't do it, you're not gonna get any interest. But if you commit to it and God forbid you have an emergency, you gave up your interest.
Right.
Does that penalty usually mean all of the interest, Mike, or is it?
Well, it should,
Ratio.
the terms would be spelled out, but it's usually pretty onerous. But it's usually just interest, with a bank.
But that's the interest that we've already collected, so they would just deduct it.
Well, some of these are gonna pay annually, some won't pay to the end.
She said we can take it monthly.
Okay, I would just be curious if she can penetrate the principal. Cause 3% for a 3-year commitment is pretty good.
Mike, I had a question, and again, with an expert, a real expert on the board, I mean, it's
Well-
hard for you to look at this. The question that I had, and actually I had seen these numbers, first of all, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're looking at each 3 CDs at 250,000 apiece. My understanding is and having dealt with this, is, most of these instruments, quote jumbo CDs, really have a break even at 100,000, where you start to accrue quote reasonable interest rates, not that there are any right now. Looking at those numbers, and the possibility of penalties, we had this issue at the hospital, exactly as you're having right now. This was about 7 years ago, okay? We had in assets, about $4 million with the hospital, based on donations, etc. We were 100% at that time in CDs, bonds, etc. One of the members who, like Mike, was a financial expert, and we ended up switching over to brokerage and getting out of bonds completely. Again, different risk category, and in fact, most recent. So that $4 million in 7 years has now grown to $14 million. Okay, that's something. My point is the following. Obviously, the town would have to consider how much risk or this that they want to take, and again, I think that should be minimal. But why wouldn't someone go and either, instead of a bank, consider a brokerage? We in fact, the hospital used to use Merrill Lynch. In fact, now uses, is it Payson, Mike?
HM Payson.
Huh?
HM Payson.
Yeah, they've done they just gave a talk. I mean, they've been in business for 150.
Yep.
They're a pretty amazing institution, and I can't remember what their basis rates were, but they were very, very, very low. Why wouldn't someone consider something like investment grade corporate bonds, for instance, through a brokerage, where you could in fact do 3.5%? And if you really, obviously if you wanted to take risk, those break evens don't exist. You can buy whatever the heck you want to do, but do a true laddered portfolio. I certainly would not do. If you were going to keep $500,000 in cash, okay, I would ladder my portfolio with maybe 4 $200,000 bonds, but I'd ladder out at least 3 years. I mean, if you want to get some kind of return on your investment, you've got to be out beyond 2 years. But again, why not ladder 4 bonds, 800,000, 4 bonds out 3 years, start at 6 months, 1 year, 1.5, and all the way out. But go through investment grade corporate bonds.
It's one of the things that we learned is that, believe it or not, we essentially can invest in anything we want. The board has the authority to invest the town's money in whatever way it wants, unless the town has a policy or an ordinance that would restrict us. A little scary, actually. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
we could buy leveraged bonds. Now, we have a fiduciary obligation to the town, so that could be argued that would be reckless, and probably would be. But we could get to a point where we look at corporate debt. And the laddering that's kind of the secret sauce to a bond portfolio, because we're entering a phase where you're probably going to have rate increases. If the economy grows at the rate that some hope that it will, those rate increases could be pretty rapid. So maybe a person who delays a commitment over the next 18 months could be handsomely rewarded 2 years from now. So, but who knows? I mean, I never thought we'd sit at essentially 0% interest rates for almost a decade. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And the 10-year treasury is kind of what I use as a benchmark, but still only paying 2.4. So that's a 10-year commitment to the federal government. You get 2.4. Mm-hmm. That's why a 3-year federally insured instrument that's paying you 3 is pretty, that tells me the market's already anticipating this uptrend.
That's not bad, I mean, that's not bad at all. My problem is, again, is liquidity. And in that setting, you're gonna, if you have early withdrawal, not that I think you would by any means, if you're keeping 500,000 in cash.
Well, this is why the penalty is important, because
Yeah.
from, the very, very worst thing that this board could do is be to put the town in a situation where we needed some money and it's locked up. That's when the fingers are gonna point at us.
Right.
I'm not as concerned about us getting over our skis in terms of credit risk. Cause we don't need that, it would be great to get 5. But I don't need to chase 5. We're getting nothing, so if
Right.
we get 1, we're going to be heroes.
But again, I
Right.
think my point is, I would certainly consider some type of brokerage pro forma versus the bank, where no matter what you do, early withdrawal, God forbid you need.
Well,
you're
the
gonna pay
brokerage
a
has its own Achilles. The banks, like I said, my impression, this is why I wanna check with them, because the rules and regulations have changed a lot. But when I started doing this, the banks could not penetrate your principal. Their punishment was through interest.
Right.
Brokerage is the opposite. When you buy a debt instrument, it's priced to market every day. We never touch your interest. Your interest is your interest. There's no such thing as a penalty where I garnish your interest. However, if you want to sell that debt before maturity, you're subject to whatever it's worth in the market.
True, but again,
Okay.
if you were to hold a 3-year bond, a decent corporate investment grade bond, even if you bought it at par, slightly below par, slightly above par, as long as you were willing to hold that instrument for 3 years, okay, based on a laddered portfolio, there's no penalty. You're getting all your principal back plus your interest.
That's also true with the bank CD. The problem is the liquidity scenario. If we need the money, can we get it back? The answer from brokerage is absolutely. However, you're subject to market risk.
Market value certainly is of that amount. But again, if you have, that limited 3-year, the chances of volatility within that range are probably fairly low.
Well,
Again, just a thought that I was having.
They're fairly low relative to interest rates on a 3-year bond. But if you bought 5-year GE paper,
Oh, different story.
which was solid gold 60 months ago, guess what? It's not looking so good today. So those are variables that we really have to be aware of. And like I said, I'd love to get 5, but I'm really more interested in very methodically getting 1.
Well, I think you hit it, Mike, on the head. No matter what you get, it's gonna be better off what.
We literally can add $10,000
Absolutely.
without
nothing.
taking any risk,
Right,
Exactly.
right.
just by
Hitting
Lining our ducks
singles
up.
right
My
now.
other thing too, though, is this whole thought process is new.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of people that still think this money's like, should be sitting in a shoebox.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, we do baby steps.
and everybody's been told forever that you cannot touch this money, that you cannot. And having all this
Invest it.
money is such a great thing. Well, we've learned that all this money is really doing us nothing.
Nothing.
No, we literally have all this money, and we are borrowing additional money at a 3 or 4% interest. I mean, it's
The
insanity.
same bank that's paying us nothing.
Right.
Correct.
So is that what it is, 3 or 4% interest for the fire truck?
What, 3.62, is that
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
Now, Mike, also another question for the board is, these fees that we're paying for checking and stuff like that, I mean.
Well,
Yeah,
we've been
that's
grinding
gotta
those
be
down.
negotiated, I think.
Well, the whole thing is, your banker is really not your friend
Right.
until you pressure them.
Yeah.
That's
And
yeah,
then your
that's what we
banker
need to-
really, really loves you a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Although
anyway.
we can get those fees down to next to nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on to the Camden, or were you through with the Bangor one?
Yeah.
Because the
I mean,
Camden
you guys
one,
read it, so.
yeah,
Yes.
the Camden option 1 is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, basically our checking account's gonna get 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no liquidity issue, there's just, you woke up this morning and you can
Right.
actually put on your budget $10,000.
Right, because you pressured them, they went from 0.2
Correct,
to
you
1.
basically nudged them,
That's right, and said, hey, we might move our money.
yeah.
So,
And I would
Yeah.
give them a little bit of a hard time about that, but that's not on my job description.
Very large hard time about that one.
I would definitely, I mean,
yeah.
so, anyway,
Throw in no fees and you have a deal.
yeah, I
That's
mean, if you
right.
can leverage
Yeah.
them at all, I mean, they
That's
really,
right.
this
Some of the
really
money that
is
you haven't been
huge
That's right.
disservice that they have done.
How long,
That's-
have we been through them?
A long time.
Many years,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
many years, and they haven't paid us anything.
No.
And now, because we're shopping a little bit, they have
Asking
basically
question.
thrown $12,000 in the pot.
That's right,
We'd like maybe a little, thank you.
Yeah.
right. And at this point, are they charging us I know we're paying for the fire truck, but what about our checks? Then do we have a monthly
They-
fee?
Yes, we do, but they actually eliminate that fee. They charge it, but then they reverse it.
What about, and again, they may say no to you, they may say yes to you, but what about renegotiating the rate on that fire truck?
Yeah.
Essentially,
Sure.
they've
That's what I
been
was
hitting us for
thinking, too.
$12,000 a year in interest that they haven't been paying us. Maybe they could knock that in half.
Yep.
Honestly, I would hope that would be something that the board could persuade the town to do away with, but, and you might even tell her that, because if she knocks that to 2, we might leave it there.
Might
That's
leave it,
right.
correct.
Yeah,
That's right.
but
For one, we definitely would, because then it'd be a wash.
That's
Either
right.
there or the other. It's not really, that would offset the 12, all those years of not getting nothing.
it's just kind of insulting for them to give us a 1% right out of the gate. I guess it's buyer beware, it's like your homeowner's insurance, it's everything else.
That's right.
We were hoping for a
Unless you
little
ask the
more
question.
supportive relationship.
And I would even, if you're gonna go there, I'd even ask them about a 3-year, 30%.
Yeah, I definitely would check.
See what
What's
they say.
interesting is the rates, did you see their 90-day commitments? And
Yeah.
to me, they're not worth chasing yet. 6 months,
3, 6, and
3, 6,
1
and,
year.
yeah.
Last page.
1-1, 1-1-5, 1-1-1-3-5, I mean,
You were wrong. I'll share.
yeah, for the lockup, I'll just take my 1 and,
Yeah.
now, when it's paying 2.5, maybe we'll take a chunk and chase it for 6 months. Even 100,000 would matter.
But that maybe should be part of that conversation when you're talking with them though too.
I guess the thing is, we're looking for a more proactive relationship. That's really what we're looking for a banker that is looking out for us. Is that something they're willing to commit to?
You know, the other thing is that, as you say, let's say we see 3 rate increases, even if it's 0.25.
25 basis points a whack, yep.
25 basis points, and you're not locked in, you're gonna make even more money.
That's why I'm inclined to
That thing
wait.
is gonna float by
Correct.
itself, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I would also make sure they threw in a Christmas card too.
We did get a
Calendar or
Christmas card.
Oh, a calendar,
We
David.
didn't get a calendar.
Toaster.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm really glad that we pushed them.
Yep.
Now I'd like to feel a little more love.
Right.
That's great.
Good.
But I would say for the time being, we're just gonna we don't have to move the money. Camden's gonna give us
You can
1.
go to that option right now,
So
right?
you want me to go to option 1 right
Sure.
now?
Yeah, right now
Right
while we're
away.
thinking. We
Yeah.
don't want any
I mean, that's a
commitment.
guaranteed
Yep.
10 grand.
Literally, we can say to the budget committee, okay, we just
Yeah.
picked up 12,000. Or whatever that number is sitting there, so.
That's great.
Do we need a motion on that?
I don't think so, because you're already there, right? I mean, you're already.
Yeah, the money's
No,
there,
you're
it's not
not- you're not
changing
changing the
anything,
bank.
you're just
Yeah,
telling the
we-
bank.
and you're-
And you're
Go
not
ahead.
investing the
In
money.
fact, I think you broadened our FDIC insurance. Did she not say that we fall into a different
I
category?
think so.
I don't see that the
Yes,
board would
because
need to.
it's the Federal Home Loan Bank. That's that 2-year commitment letter you were talking about.
Yeah.
Our collateral is gonna change.
Now, if we decide to do anything with a liquidity restriction, then yeah, I think you'd want the board's action on that. but- C, competitive bidding policy review.
That was interesting, Mike, what you said.
Oh, and I had printed it off. I have it in there if you want it.
I just read
I
it.
kinda went full circle after reading that.
So I've given you our.
I did.
Yeah, our current bidding policy, and then the second page, you'll see is page 47, is from the wanna say it's from the roads manual,
Ditches and drains?
the bid process.
Yeah.
And it talks about, you see, bidding is required if state funds are being used for certain public, the first paragraph, not under state law. The commonly asked question is whether road maintenance contracts must be put out to public bid, not under state law. And I targeted this one because roads contracts are usually what we're dealing in
Right.
anyway.
Right.
So
Well-
I did go to the roads manual and I caught this and it's like, wow.
The genesis for this is one of the road committee members called me and had really strong feelings about our bidding policy and how we're doing this and how we're doing that. And I shared with him that, to my knowledge, we aren't even required in the state statute to bid any of this. And he begged to differ. And then he went on to say that, another thing that he felt that, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is I'm pretty confident that this isn't just his point of view, it's probably discussions that he's having with people, so I just think we should all know it.
Maybe we should incorporate that right into the open remarks of our policy,
What's that?
that is not required.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, but there's, then you're in a position where you're gonna list all the things that aren't required.
Right now.
No, I know.
If he had simply read our policy, because the other thing that had him very upset is under no circumstances should the town manager or the board, or any member of the board, ever directly contact a contractor or a vendor. He said that foments hatred and discontent. And I said, I could not disagree with you more.
Yeah.
I think I really want, in some cases, I want my town manager to contact these vendors directly and, make sure they're clear on details and negotiate the best deal for the town and all that. So that got me to thinking, well, maybe we just should get rid of the term bid and take it out of our policy. Then my wife deserves the credit because she found that Townsman article and sent it to me, and I read those 7 towns, and it was pretty fascinating, all the pitfalls that exist.
Yeah. That was fascinating. So this is our competitive bidding policy?
That's our policy.
That's our policy.
It was effective 2014. What's kind of unique about it is it basically lets us do anything we want. I mean the town.
Right.
This policy is very open.
Totally open.
Yeah.
It's as open as not having a policy.
Virtually.
I
The only restriction is that at $10,000,
Right.
you're required, the town manager is required to get bids. It doesn't specifically say how she gets them.
Right.
And then she would need us to award the bid.
Right.
That's really,
That's our policy.
That's pretty much
That's
it.
how that's right.
it does, and it even gets so specific as to say that you can contact a vendor directly, which is, I don't think we need to add anything.
Right, right.
What we need is more people to read it. And I'm under no illusion that simply because they read it, they're gonna agree with it. But at least we're following the policy.
The problem is when we're using the term bid, we think of the bid as what we're doing now.
Yeah, I always
Others
kinda
are
look at it as a
thinking of
price
this-
quote.
Correct, but
An
others are
estimate.
looking at the federal guidelines of competitive bidding and all of the structure.
Correct.
And that's not what we're doing.
In fact, this individual worked for the state, and one of his duties at that time was bidding. And it was very structured as to how you had to award these things. You could get sued. That's not what we're doing. And maybe we could simply put bid/price estimate. I mean, just to show that it's more, there's a different, but maybe we don't need to touch it.
Well, the question is though, is it a bid? Because when we get them, do we then hold the contractor to that bid? Where a cost estimate.
Yeah, well,
that
we
they
have
could
done,
say,
for
oh.
example, we want to bid on your ditching costs. So we know per foot what ditching costs.
Right.
So then we say, okay, you're less, or we like the way you do it, we'll award you 1,000 feet of ditching.
Right.
That's more of a, to me, that's a cost analysis. That's not
Yeah,
a bid.
it is. But, I mean, we went to them and said, if you have a certain type of bucket and you do it a certain way, what do you charge?
Right.
Same thing with grading.
Right.
What's your cost? We call it a bid, but
Right.
really, we're just looking for a per foot,
Right.
per mile cost.
Yeah.
So I think the policy's pretty good.
Yeah.
I still don't like the word bid in it, but.
No, and
I
that's,
don't know how, whatever
Well, I
verbiage
just
you would
did the
use.
paving, today I sent it out and I put in request for proposal,
Yeah,
proposed
RP.
estimate,
RP.
proposed estimate.
Okay, but does that, that's what I'm saying though, the way everybody, then I can, well, you didn't put it out as a bid, you put it out as an estimate.
Estimate.
You just, no, this is where it will go when we're done, because.
Yeah, it's exactly what will happen. And maybe, I don't know, maybe the name of the competitive bidding, maybe it should be something else. I don't know. But the meat of the thing is fine. It gives you all the latitude you need to run the town.
Sure.
I was very surprised at what lengths some of these towns are going to for local
Oh my gosh. That's-
5%
yeah,
advantage, 2% advantage.
Very complex.
Well, there's a lot of
Yeah, I
towns that
know.
are getting into that pickle of lowest bid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I guess there are some federal regulations on that. It's where
Sure.
if you don't take, you've got to have a rationale that is demonstrable.
Right.
That's my other side of,
But we're not in that arena, thank God.
Well, could it be a policy on gathering bids for jobs or I mean, we're gathering bids.
Yeah, or a policy, like I said, we can slash it. You could do policy, competitive
That's
bidding slash
contractual services.
price estimates or,
But I mean, it's right there, the board of selectmen will review contracts.
Contracts for services.
But a lot of this stuff is when you were doing like, you're put out this bid, you're having them sign off, it's contractual service.
Right.
yeah, it's all there. It's just, and like I said, maybe it doesn't matter. If we tweak this a few different ways, it's not gonna change the reaction that we're getting. Some people are gonna want it the way they want it.
Right.
There will be people that will be upset if you don't take the lowest bidder. And you
But
may have a
we've
great,
repeatedly done it,
yeah, I understand.
I know. Even the ones that have complained have been a part of it.
Yep. So I mean, I guess that's just,
Just refer them to this.
Just part
and
of our job.
Reread it.
yeah.
And we've had people complain about
Us taking.
not taking the lowest bidder when the people that got the contract were the ones that was complaining wasn't the lowest.
Yes, that has happened. I got a call from home on that one. It was actually from the guy.
What was that again? Say it again.
He won a contract,
Oh,
a bid, he wasn't the lowest bidder, and we awarded it anyway.
Yes,
Because
yes.
of.
And he
the job
called
that
and
he did.
complained about an additional contract where someone who wasn't the lowest bidder got the bid.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't win. You can't
That really should be in here someplace, that you can't win.
I think,
win. You can't win. Yeah,
I
I think this is good.
I do too. And-
I
and-
really do. And I think it's educating the contractors, or whomever's bidding, but also referring any townsperson, say.
Read it.
Read it.
I think
Don't
maybe
have to publish it in the.
when you're reaching out to the vendor or the contractor,
right.
if you wanna change the language to a price quote or
Right,
an estimate, that might be helpful.
Right.
Because some of these guys are hanging on the word bid
Bid.
because of the way they work with the state or the county.
Right.
And it's not the same with us.
Right, that's right.
It's more like a private transaction where I call 3 contractors because I want to build a garage and, how much for a slab?
It's an estimate.
They all 3 come, they give me a price, I pick the one I want.
That's right,
The town can do essentially exactly the same thing.
that's right.
And in most cases, I think it's in our best interest to operate that way.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah, I very much agree.
yeah.
So,
That's what I'm saying, that's the one thing, I wish we could verbiage this, so it said what you said.
so anyway, the select board of 2014 is gonna be pleased that we
Upholding
approve
it,
their,
right, and
that stays,
Yeah.
I guess.
it works.
Okay.
So we need to follow it.
And and now we're all really familiar with it and we
That's
have a response, should we ever get a call.
We're all up to date on it.
Abby Fowler, electricity.
the electricity box is broken and it needs to be replaced. So the question was, do we want to replace it?
We don't heat it, nothing in the winter time, right? We don't do anything.
No, but if you want to sell it, and if we list it with an agent, we're gonna have to have electricity in it. So at this point,
Could I
they're
ask
saying
why?
either, why?
Yeah.
Would you buy a building with no electricity?
Sure.
Yeah, you
You
just have to
would?
hook
In
it
fact, they're
up.
off most of the time.
99% of them are off.
going back, you said the box is broken, why, how is it
The,
broken?
the meter or
That's the-
whatever.
That
it
belongs,
is.
that belongs to
Yes.
CMP.
That's
If
right,
it's just the
that's
glass,
their job.
If it's the metal
But
box,
we
it's
have to
ours.
get we have to get the electrician to replace whatever it is. The head guy from CMP called me.
Okay.
It must have
It's
broken.
like the
the
weatherhead,
housing.
probably the weatherhead
Yeah.
or, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Do we wanna just shut it off? I mean,
I
that's,
Yep.
just shut it off.
Yep,
Because we don't even
At this
plow up
point-
near it, nobody's going in and out of it till spring, I wouldn't worry about it till spring.
Okay.
Maybe we won't own it then.
that's right.
Well, honestly, and I really hate the thought of flipping the bill and redoing a power
Right.
for a building that somebody might
may-
completely renovate it and rip it all out.
Right.
No, we don't need electricity up there. Any more on that?
Nope.
Animal control officer.
Gary Sudbury is in the hospital
Oh.
with pneumonia, and he is. When he talked to Chris, he doesn't sound like he wants to continue. He wants to take life a little bit easier, and he's going to be a master mason, and that's what he wants to concentrate on. So you have two people that have worked as deputy animal control officer. Both of them will take it. However, one is Chris, and one is Joe Guyot. Gary recommends Chris, but I am not in a position where I can hire that position.
Normally, who would normally,
Me.
okay.
Normally it
So
is
you're coming to
mine.
us because of the conflict?
Yes. So,
And both of them would like.
both of them would take it?
Right.
Yes. And Gary, we had an extensive conversation with Gary, and he would recommend Chris for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna go into the reasons, but
Right. Well,
And both have subbed for us
yes,
previously?
yes.
So,
Yes, and you don't have, neither one of them have signed deputy ACO, so it doesn't really matter. They just kind of like,
and they would do it for the same price or cost that we pay Gary. And what about the, Gary is our constable?
he's our constable. I asked Chris if he would be willing to take constable, and he said yes, he's a police officer in Dover
Oh, there
anyway,
you go.
so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we,
I don't,
Need a motion?
yeah, I think that probably would be helpful to Lois. If, I mean, she's coming to us because she
Right.
has a conflict.
Right.
She wants us to resolve that conflict. We
Sure.
take- Basically, I think we need to give her the authority to pick what she wants, or not. That's,
sure,
I mean, to me, there's only two ways you're gonna solve this. We're either gonna give her the authority to make her pick, or we're gonna flip a coin.
I'd make a motion to hire Chris as our new animal control officer.
I second it.
All in favor? It's unanimous.
I would rather us do it than.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I
That's
think-
what I said. We either-
Get a phone call.
Yep.
Yeah,
And constable?
yes,
Yeah, that's a good fit.
yep,
That's.
very good. How's he at catching horses?
Well,
He's gonna find out, I can tell you that, 'cause that seems to happen in this
he went
town.
to a training on that at Eastridge, and nobody else could get the horse, and he just walked up to it, and
There you
I'm
go.
He's the
telling
horse
you,
whisperer.
he
Okay.
is an animal with.
So-
I can tell you, the easy thing to remember, if it's a gelding, you just walk up and you get it. If
That's
it's a
right.
mare, get in your car and drive off. You're not gonna catch it. She's gonna come home when she's ready, and not sooner.
That's why I have all.
Kind of a metaphor.
That's why I have all geldings as well.
Okay,
Head of a stallion, just bring the mare with you.
Yeah.
that's cheating. Personnel policy, old business, number 8, personnel policy.
All right, so you have the printed version of, I emailed it as well,
Yep.
of the most current revisions. And I'm still waiting to hear back from Katie if we can remove the harassment, unlawful discrimination, the whistleblower, and the FMLA.
Because that's all state stuff, or federal
State,
stuff.
federal.
Federal
Yes.
with a certain employee threshold.
Right.
We're a little
Yeah.
fuzzy on that threshold.
Right.
The only thing like that I did pick up on, cause it's pet peeve, I guess, but 39, use of town-owned vehicles.
Wait, okay, number 30, item 39?
Yeah.
It's the last page.
I think that could be really short. No,
There you
we don't
go.
really need all that verbiage. I mean, there is a piece in here for the 24-hour call but I don't understand that. I mean, nobody else gets that. We don't have 24-hour colonies.
Not at this time, we don't.
And the piece about the meeting thing, I mean, the only we own for town vehicles really is the 5500 and the Wheeler. Are we taking the Wheeler to a meeting?
No,
No.
I don't know.
That's why,
no,
I think that whole thing could be just,
No.
right.
no.
Just take it out. Yeah, where is that? It's the third item down on 39. Employees may take
Take a
the
town
vehicle
home vehicle.
home if they're going to a meeting,
Yeah, I think
late at
really-
night, yeah.
Or early in the morning.
Hey, you're not gonna take the Wheeler.
Take that out, okay?
That's why I think the whole thing could be very short and sweet. The use of town-owned vehicle is not allowed for personal use.
Yeah, I guess, if you had a scenario where you had a guy who was plowing, you could send him home with a plow truck and he plowed his way into town. But we're not doing that right now.
We don't have a town's not plowing any of those roads.
No.
Correct.
I mean, and you could put not allowed for personal use, and you could put an exception underneath there about
I
the town
like that.
manager.
With-
So that way there, if
Under-
something
yep.
happened and you
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
grant
yeah.
somebody,
The town manager could make that call.
you could
Yep.
override that.
Yep, I like that.
With the, except with permission of the town manager.
Yep,
Mhm.
Prior permission.
yep, I like that. That doesn't handcuff you.
Right. I mean, I don't really think you would need it, but
And case by case, you can make the decision, nope, that's, you don't need to break, take it home, yep,
Yeah,
sure,
If you make a bad choice, the board will probably speak up.
that's right.
the other piece, the verbiage on smoking in town vehicles and equipment,
Yep,
I wouldn't have that there. I would put that, because we have a smoking policy, right? Put that right
Yes.
in as part of it.
okay, so move that to the smoking
I
policy.
would think that all should be all under that same, legally, it's all under the same laws. So that I would put that over there.
Okay. So what about 40? You want 39 and 40 to be combined and say not allowed for personal use?
Town pleasure.
Yeah, I don't really see why.
Well, I had a note there already on one of the paragraphs, eliminate the
Yeah,
paragraph.
I was gonna
Yeah.
eliminate
Yeah.
that one,
Yeah.
and the one above it really,
Yeah, is the same, it's.
it kinda says the same thing,
right,
you don't need it. I
Stating
mean,
the same thing,
Okay.
yeah. Where was this one? Oh, that was the very last thing.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
what we had
in the
added
red,
in, 'cause
I
we didn't
added
have
it.
anything.
Yeah.
You and I had talked separately about this personal effects clause, and then we kind of, it turned into a cell phone discussion.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to me that we should be buying anybody a cell phone. I mean, now, if we have a stipend policy, for example, the town manager uses her phone, and we give you what, $20?
$20 a month.
So, to me, that's the extent of that. If you had the fire chief, I think the fire chief right now, we buy him a phone with a data package.
Don't they have two?
I think they only have one.
But if the
I'll
fire
pull
chief
it,
needs
I'll
a phone,
pull
we
the
should just
bill.
pay him the $20 a month that we're paying. And that would be true with any employee that you felt, and I would pretty much leave it up to the town manager. If you had an employee that you thought required coverage, they should get the $20 stipend. But we shouldn't be, if we really feel that we need a full-time cell phone, we should own one.
Right.
And hand it to them.
But even with that, I mean, with that, my own opinion on the whole, I know when I was on Guilford Fire, we got a cell phone because of the whole Privacy Act. You didn't wanna use your cell phone, so you didn't use the radios when you needed it. So we had a cell phone, it was a track phone actually,
Yeah.
didn't even have a plan with it, and you left it in the rescue truck, because the rescue truck goes to every call. So that way there, you always had a cell phone that you could use for that. So to me, that's, I mean, maybe not necessarily a track phone, but if the fire department needs a phone, I would think it'd be better to use it that way than to have any one person have it all the time, because
Yeah, I can't find a scenario where the town should be providing a soup to nuts cell phone for anybody.
no, and that's what I'm saying with that, I would think, I understand why the fire department should have one, but it should be in the truck. So anybody that needs it has it.
But you think they have two?
Boy, I thought there was a conversation during budget of 2.
So
I could be
essentially, you'd
wrong.
have a cell phone that's at the station, and you grab it and go. That, if the town feels we need a cell phone.
No, we used to literally stay in the truck.
Oh, okay, well,
I mean, because
Keep it in the,
every department's the same way, it doesn't matter you call, rescue truck always rolls. So in Guilford, that was our SOP, so it was right in the glove box, that's where the cell phone stayed.
right.
And then anytime, any scene you was on, you always had that cell phone. Nobody had to remember to grab it, or,
And if you had, I'm imagining if you had a public works employee and the town manager wanted to be able to communicate with them, maybe that's a scenario where the town would wanna own a cell phone. Or you might say to that person, if you have a cell phone, we'll give you $20 a month stipend to offset the fact that we're gonna use it to contact you. But I think that's gonna be a pretty rare scenario going forward.
true.
So, I mean, the fire chief will deal with that later. But that's part of the budget, I guess, next
That's
year.
part of the budget area.
Yep. But so the $20 stipend, we'll
I think-
basically leave that up to the town manager.
I
Yeah.
would assume.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would.
Get us out of the phone business.
so do we wanna leave that line in there that I added at the bottom?
Town manager, no, town's.
Cause you don't have a policy that states
May.
that.
May, at the discretion of the town manager.
Well, you got the town manager in there, so
Town
I
manager,
would put the town manager and a department head not provided with a cell phone.
Yeah, you can even make
Maybe.
it two separate.
May,
You could make it the town manager will be reimbursed, period. Any department head's not at the discretion of the town manager. Break it into two pieces. Because I can't imagine not wanting my town manager
have a
to
cell phone.
have a cell phone.
Right, so that's,
Right.
$20 stipend.
Now, in fact, if we were in a position where a town manager wanted to work for us and didn't have a cell phone, then I think the town would probably buy one. But that's about the only, right now, the only employee that I can think of that I would want to have phoned.
Yep.
Other than, well, my chief, maybe.
Right.
And we talked about, part-time and the benefits, and I guess you got some clarity on that, we can do that. We don't have to offer benefits to
just-
part-time. I thought we were unsure last time we talked.
I don't think we were unsure. I think we
Okay.
just said we're gonna do it that way.
We're just gonna do it, okay.
I don't know why we need in our policy the difference between part-time, seasonal, temporary. I kinda see seasonal, temporary, part-time all as the same category. Should be all the same.
Yeah, I kinda see part-time as needed.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, I
Right.
kinda see that all as a bucket, I don't really, I
Oh,
don't
you
see
mean, you
the,
don't need to do all this types of employment?
yeah.
Types of
That's-
part-time.
That is typical in other personnel policies.
It's
It is
typical?
typical wording, yeah.
So basically, it gives you
Because
that.
on-call covers your firemen, volunteer, of course, and then seasonal or temporary could be, you hire high school for mowing lawns and they don't come back the next summer, that's your seasonal temporary.
So that's
A
still part-time.
it is part-time, but I can have a permanent part-time that I have 20 hours a week, year-round.
And our obligations to them are different.
No, your seasonal part-time and your 20-hour week part-time's the same.
I wonder if you've been paying a guy for 20 hours a week for 5 years and you decide not to.
He's still part-time, it's no benefits, it shouldn't be anything.
That's true, but if you decide to get rid of him,
I-
you still are subject to all the cause issues.
Yes.
You're subject to the cause issues either way.
Even the
But you can
seasonal and
still,
temporary?
sure you are. But you're still at the same way with a part-time person, if you don't need them anymore, you don't need them anymore.
Well, that's what I would think. We're somewhat ambiguous on that right now, but
It's no different than a full-time. If you don't need it, you don't need it.
I would think that. I would hope that.
And I had asked Katie about redoing the disciplinary action. I think I forwarded you the email for her preliminary notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm still, there should be something there, more verbiage on timelines and things of that nature in
Yeah.
there, for sure.
So at this point, I mean, if you're
And
happy
also
with,
is this other thing too, I noticed.
what page?
4, number 13, rest and meal breaks. Each employee shall entitled to a rest break of 15 minutes in the morning and afternoon, and an unpaid lunch break of an hour.
Is that federal stuff or is that just?
No, that's kind of at the
No,
farm,
no, no,
that's
no.
how we're gonna write it.
No, you are required to take a,
10-minute break every 2 hours.
well, a lunch break. You have to time out for, you do.
Say that again?
You have to time out for lunch break.
No, you don't.
On your time card, you do.
No, you don't. I don't punch out for lunch.
Well, I don't punch out for lunch either, but I believe we would get slapped by
No.
MMA. Yes, we will. Because
It's easy enough to check.
I would check, but you don't, no.
But I mean,
If you're gonna give them a
it's
full
fine
hour.
anyway. I mean, what,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we want them to punch out for lunch,
But I'm
right?
saying the 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon is not really,
Do you follow that now?
it should be verbiage.
I mean, do people
every
say,
so
hey,
hours.
break time?
No,
I mean,
no.
But the
No.
one
No,
I'm
I mean,
saying
people
is-
are working and
Yeah.
sometimes they're
We'll
talking.
just work and
yeah.
sometimes, you know, and I'll come out and we'll chit chat for a little bit and I'll go back in
Sure.
and I'll go back to work and.
But your policy should be verbiage more like 10 minutes every 2 hours,
Oy.
or 15 minutes every 3 hours.
Yeah, but then do you have to follow it?
Well, you're supposed to, but you don't
I
now.
mean,
on
that's
the-
ridiculous.
Does it even need to be in the
Oh,
policy?
yes, it needs to be in there.
It does?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
But saying 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon, that doesn't really.
It's too
How would
ambiguous, you think?
Yeah, how would you discipline somebody for that, is the question. If he was
For-
taking too many breaks,
Well, you already did one morning break.
morning isn't a
And you're on
time
your
frame.
second morning, yeah, it's AM and PM.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
before
no,
noon and
no.
afternoon.
Afternoon.
Oh, you're talking daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I think
I
you're a
think
little in the weeds here,
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Gray.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not, but that's okay.
Has it been an issue yet?
No.
And that tells me we're getting near to the bottom of this, if that's
That's
what
right.
you're
I'll
on.
take breaks.
I know, but
The hour says 10 minutes every 2 hours.
you're not required to take them.
No, yes, you are. That's by our policy, you're required to take breaks.
Do you
That's
have,
probably
Peace
more
workers?
employees than 50. What did you say, Mike?
I asked if you had peace workers.
Oh. So this may be something, I mean, if you have more than X number of employees, that you have to do.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? It may be if you only have 2 people in the office, you don't have to take a 15.
Just tell me what you do.
Yeah, and I don't mind changing it either, I think it's of so little significance that.
Right.
Yep, I'm open.
Okay. You added before Christmas Day?
Yes,
Depending on the
it's gonna depend
calendar.
on the calendar.
I don't know. I
See, like, this, in 2018, 24th is Monday, so if we do Monday, Tuesday instead of,
I see, okay, gotcha.
and that way we can be open on Wednesday, Thursday, half a day Friday.
Groundhog's Day, Fool's Day,
Do what?
Flag Day, Arbor Day,
Every other day.
Snow Day.
Hey, snow day, that works.
So we're getting closer to,
Yeah, as soon as I hear back from Katie about those big sections, and I will send her, on this rest and meal breaks and,
You laugh, but I will guarantee you,
You think Katie will tweak it?
I
well,
guarantee
they will
you-
tweak it if we want them to, I mean, that's
Yeah.
not an issue.
I guarantee you
Tweak
could
away.
write anybody up any day of the week for that policy right there if you wanted to. Right
Who?
now,
For not taking breaks?
for taking too many.
the federal government, who's gonna write us up? Who?
No, we can.
Labor?
Oh,
No,
That's
we
what
can
I'm
write
saying.
up an employee because of taking too many breaks.
Correct.
So if
So
they're,
you need to write this to cover your butt for when you need to take
I
that.
see. Oh, I see. Oh, if they're taking too many breaks.
Correct. So your verbiage is so that to protect you and them.
Oh, I see.
So I still don't see where you're gonna end up with a vulnerability there. So give me the scenario, you've taken a break, and then I see you're taking another break.
It wasn't in the morning. What's your definition of morning?
Well, before noon.
Okay, that's yours.
Well, that's the world.
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
AM, PM, you don't think?
I don't think the labor boards are gonna go by that. No.
Oh, my goodness.
That's how I would have
Right.
assumed it to be.
But
So you're like, hey, it's morning somewhere, everywhere.
there you go.
Okay.
Same way as it's.
Maybe we
5
should
o'clock
put
somewhere.
Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, I think specific is better.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So you earn your break. You've gotta work for so many hours to get your break,
Yep.
and then you can work an additional number of hours, and you can get a second break.
Correct.
And you have to take them after you've earned them, you can't
Correct.
combine them.
Correct.
They don't
And if you don't
accrue.
follow those rules, I can write you up for
Correct.
it. I see where you're going, structure.
Correct.
Okay. See what she has to say.
I think that's gonna be fewer pages, that's a good start.
if we can delete some of these, yeah.
Right, that'd be great.
Well, and there's still a lot of pages in there because everything that's,
Right.
I tried to turn off tracking to print it and it won't turn off.
That's weird how that doesn't, on my phone, you can't see that though.
I can't see it on my computer either. For some
You
reason,
have to go in and turn on tracking?
I
No, it
don't,
was
I'm
on.
using, it's Word, it's a Word
Yeah,
document,
yeah.
opens it up, and I see some little red mark, but I don't see anything. Don't see any of this.
I see it just how it was printed right here. You're
On
on
your
Office
computer.
365?
Yeah.
My work is Word.
It's still
Microsoft
Office
10.
Word.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
that could
not
be it.
365, I bet that's why.
Yeah.
Because she's editing in a newer version that you have.
Well, mine's probably newer. It's probably the other way around, because it's Windows 10.
Oh, so it's brand.
Mine's Windows 10.
Oh.
Right, but it's running through
Office
Office
365.
Oh, okay.
Because I know that's what I have on my computer, 365.
So are we done with
Good.
personnel
Yes,
policy for
yes.
today?
Yeah.
B, Gray Road notice of proposed discontinuance.
So you have to sign these letters that get sent to the abutting landowners of the Gray Road that we plan to discontinue. I think I forwarded you this one first, and it's giving the date that we are going to discuss the notice at a Selectmen's meeting, February 7th, 2018 at 5 p.m. And this is just their invitation to come. But we have to notify them by mail.
Okay.
And so those need 3 signatures. And the guy is coming Tuesday afternoon.
The assessor?
Appraiser.
The appraiser.
Will be here Tuesday, well, he'll be in Dover, I think, I'm assuming.
And Mike's gonna take him around on the
No,
snowmobile?
Mike's not.
Mike's taking him snowmobiling?
Dale's taking him on a horse.
You're gonna take him on a horse?
Yeah, I'll put him on mine.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
somebody's gonna have to do something, I don't have a snowmobile, and
I talked to
You don't
Lance Burgess
And he
this
says he can
afternoon. The
walk it.
snowmobiles use that as a trail. He said you can walk on it with a pair of sneakers.
Oh, okay.
I'll email him and see if that's an acceptable.
Yeah.
For him,
If
but-
if he comes after a fresh snow and he wants to bring a pair of snowshoes, he'll be fine. In
It's
fact,
an ITS trail, isn't it?
yeah, I think it
I mean,
is.
but it's an actual ITS.
Yeah.
It's not a backyard trail, it's a real trail.
Right.
And the eastern end, some property owner is plowing a good portion of that already, so it's not even a quarter mile. And it has been said that probably he'll stand at the top of the hill and gaze to the bottom of the hill and pretty much do his appraisal, but who knows?
And what's his name?
Fred Buckland.
But yeah, the last tractor trailer that got stuck up in the air, we made it halfway down over the hill. So that tells you how.
Over the
hard
rocks?
that- Yeah.
In the
In the
snow.
snow?
In the snow.
He drove right down over there with a tractor trailer. He didn't realize the trail. Lance's driveway ended and the snowmobile trail kept going and he just followed it. Didn't even
So it
realize.
must be panned, I mean, it's gotta
They
be
must
groomed.
groom it,
Yeah.
Oh, they do, they run a
Yeah.
groomer.
Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
day.
Yeah,
so it looks like a road.
that's why he said he's not having any problem, he said you can walk on it with your shoes.
Okay.
Oh,
So
the
who's
groomer,
taking
yeah.
him? Who's taking him?
Yes,
I'll
I
take
mean,
him out to
I'm
the
seeing
road.
that
I'm
the
not
trails
gonna
have been
hike with
hit.
him,
10 inches of ice on
especially
Lost
if it's,
Cake.
you know, 0 or below.
Right.
Nicholas
So he'll
Yeah.
do it
took a
himself.
picture,
Right.
the week before was 4 inches.
Based on the tax.
Because we're making ice all
Yeah,
day.
yeah, he's gonna spend a lot of time right in the office,
Oh,
looking at the
okay.
maps and stuff, and I had to send him the sales ratio study and something else.
Okay. That's Tuesday?
He's coming Tuesday, well, he's coming up on Tuesday evening to spend the night, and then he'll start Wednesday morning.
Where's he from?
Appleton. Maine.
Appleton, Hope area.
I said the same thing.
He wants to come to Dover. When I talked to him, he's like, I've always wanted to go to
Is he
Dover.
gonna stay at the mill?
Fox
Where's he
Cross.
staying?
I don't know. I haven't asked him.
Maybe he's hanging a bed in there. Okay.
There's a bed and breakfast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that might be, and I told him there's bed and breakfast, so that might be what he's gonna do. If all else fails, I cleaned up my bedroom, I got a spare room.
Okay. Cause it's such a long trip.
Yeah, well, that's.
Okay. Okay, let's move on.
All right, the lime spreader. Did we get a
Okay,
bid on that?
I got 3 bids.
We couldn't find it on Craigslist, right?
You couldn't find it?
I think we did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
So, I don't know 100% if I said it had to be a bid via email, but, so the first one is $150. Then I knew that Charlie Cleaves wanted to bid on it, so I actually gave him a call yesterday, and he bid $205.
Wow.
And then right at 5 o'clock, I got a phone call from Troy Nelson. He's a couple hours away. He's never seen it before, but he put in a bid for $250.
I would say Mr. Nelson's got himself a spreader.
He got himself, wow.
And actually, can we make this even easier? That after he drives the 2 hours of never seeing it and he doesn't want
Oh, that's good.
that,
Then it goes right to the
can
next
it go
bidder.
right to the next?
The next
Yeah.
bidder, yeah.
So you got a backup.
Good
Yeah.
job.
All right, so-
Dale.
I don't wanna sit on this thing.
I wanna flip your inventory.
Budget's coming, we need that money.
Do I have a
I'll make a
second?
motion.
Oh,
Oh, do we need to do that?
yeah.
To accept the highest bid, and if for some reason that falls through after inspection of said lime spreader, we'll go with the second highest bidder.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. I've got some other ideas for Craigslist.
Start cleaning house.
Maybe Eddie found it.
There you
Why
go.
not? Seriously.
You never know, we could get there.
Never know.
That's a
I
great
mean,
idea.
I'd like turn the electricity on for that. Town report.
Yeah, that's up to you guys. I mean, I put on there because we talked about it last time, but do you have dedication or?
The
Well,
dedication part, I have no. We were gonna talk to people, but I haven't got any idea or
Because
suggestions.
we can just table it.
is our librarian retiring?
Yes, she is.
She already did.
She did,
She did.
she
And she
left.
was in the last
Last year.
report.
Oh, okay.
That's why we did last year.
Oh. That's all.
So we're
And
still,
and
we
it
still
was,
need to keep
was
looking
it
for
Blaine
ideas.
Newt?
Right.
Or
No,
Will-
Wilson. Wasn't it
Wilson.
Wilson?
Yep.
It was,
He
oh,
did the
Wilson?
work in the cemetery.
Really?
Yeah.
Uncle Willie. Yeah.
The front cover, I'm really, my feeling is, come up with something you like, we'll lift them.
That's a good one.
I mean,
Well, I was gonna say we could do the gazebo, but it was like on the back cover last time, but it was just a mock-up of
Right,
a
now we
gazebo.
have-
Now we actually have,
sure.
I have a nice one
Yep.
that they took
That's
when they
another
get ready
thing
for
that I
that
would-
concert. They had
That was
the
my
Sure.
other-
flowers
Yep.
and the hay bales and stuff. in front of it.
But we talked about doing this in-house this year, and I really want to seriously consider that. I mean, supposedly, that machine was gonna do that for us.
Well, I asked the ladies about the binder machine.
Now, that copier should,
Yeah,
was
but
supposed to do it. I mean, it's gonna be a
supposed to print
staple, it's just gonna be stapled in the corner, and that's your report. But it should cost us a fraction of what we were spending.
you wanna just staple it in the corner?
Yeah, or however, I don't know what the machine is capable of, but I don't think it needs to be, $5, $6, $7 a
Right.
copy.
I will check into it, because I asked about the binder, because you had mentioned the binder, we don't
Well,
have.
that's what
a-
everybody had told us before, we
Yeah.
bought all this, we
The
bought the
ladies-
machine and you could do it yourself.
The ladies
and
say we don't have a binder, that it's broken.
It's never been used.
Where is it?
Good question.
So
That's what I'm saying, is, it's been.
Yeah, they say they don't have one, that we don't have one. I'll look.
And the one that you don't have is broken.
Well, it's either broken and gone, or we don't have it. They said we do have the binder things, but
So there is
There's
a binder
no-
somewhere.
I have no idea, I don't even know what it entails.
I don't
I just
know.
have heard it from 2 past town managers, that's all in there, that we could save all kinds of money, we could do this ourselves.
is it in the,
You know
you
what I
don't know?
know.
Well, see, I don't even know where equipment is kept. I mean, if it's not in the safe or in the back room, I mean,
I have no idea.
I would ask Belvina.
well, maybe I did.
But we were also under the impression that this new copier was going to be a whiz-bang tool for this.
That's right.
That was one of the reasons that we committed to
Well, let
this.
me ask you this. Well, if we print it in color, it's gonna cost more. We get charged per color page.
That's part of our lease agreement.
Yes.
To me,
So-
the only color part that I even would care, and I don't care if it's even there, is on the cover.
Yeah, I don't think that matters. It's a black and white town report is perfectly fine with me.
And what about stapled at the top with a nice,
Yeah, we
I
spent
mean-
thousands of dollars on those reports last year.
Are you agreeing or?
he's agreeing, certainly.
Who really is gonna care and take this as a commemorative?
They will,
Well,
there are
I
plenty of folks that
actually
keep.
I can do 3
Well,
staples. I think I
maybe
can.
That would be
As a
great.
booklet.
That would be
I'll
great.
try
Well, I
it.
really think if you look at how they've been written in the past, they've been written because they're formatted in a way, somebody got paid per page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can, you
That's
look
a
at any
good
of them, you tighten up the
point.
margins, you could
Yeah.
not have as big of an indent after the next line, and
Yeah,
you could cut that book in half without changing anything with those few little things.
yeah. I mean, is the town report some sort of a status thing? Like,
Well,
No, but
it's
you
a
do have to
tradition.
mail it to the state. It gets mailed to, the Orono Library, the state, there's like 4 different places we have to mail it. And then you have to keep it in your own records, in the
Right.
vault.
Yeah, and there are plenty of citizens who will keep it and have decades of them. So we definitely
Plans.
want, yeah.
right,
But I think we can do a respectable job, I hope
So
we
you want
can,
the full
with our own
page?
equipment, yeah.
yeah, and or you could do 10 commemorative issues and people could buy them if they wanna collect them.
But then we have to pay sales tax on it.
Oh, I don't know, anyway,
Can't win. You gotta learn that.
Right?
You're not gonna win in this conversation.
yeah. But I mean, if we
You
said.
mean with color, like do 10 with color?
Like, but if we pointed out to at the town meeting that you'll notice there's a new format because we are.
And we save
saving-
$1,100, everybody
Right.
will be very happy.
Right, yeah.
And you could I mean, I don't know, you could use just regular paper for the front cover, it doesn't have
That's
to be
right.
cardstock.
Absolutely,
right.
just gonna doodle notes on it,
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
the vote and all that, that's what, I mean, basically, I make notes on every
That's
item.
right.
and-
Read, yes.
Yeah.
I don't go with a separate piece of paper and write the vote on it, mine's
No.
all hand scratch, straight in
Oh,
every
right,
single one of
yeah.
them.
Right,
Yep.
If there was comments or whatever, it's
Right,
right.
correspondence?
Oh, we did. We've got something from,
The board's
Kyle.
attorney, oh.
yeah, you did get something from the board's attorney. And he's closing his file, he's considering it, finished. And he will hold that file for 8 years, I believe he said, and at 8 years, then he will destroy the file. And if you don't tell him anything different, then that's what he's gonna do, if you agree with his policy.
Okay,
We're all good with that.
that's fine.
And this is from KMF Logging. They want to do some logging, tree removal on our town property. Kyle Farrington.
don't we have a committee for that?
Yeah.
We do, and so I'm just saying, I just got this, so, maybe, I'm not sure. I'll call
But that
whoever it
really
is.
brought up a
Toby.
dumb idea that I don't even know if it's possible, but when you drive around our roads and you look at how much, when we say brush cutting, but the brush is getting to be this big, that needs to be cut, and the roads are froze, is there anybody out there that does do roadside cutting
In the winter.
in the winter? I mean, our roads are froze, you could run a harvester right down our ditches right now.
Yeah,
Can they cut and chip roadside? Because if you went down Silver's Mills right now and did our right of way on both sides, I would not wanna guess how many tractor trailer loads of chips you'd be hauling out of there.
the part that we didn't do this summer.
Oh, all of it, cause even that is,
Well-
we're still not out there.
Speaking of that, Butch took me out on the East Sangerville Road and down by, is it Bruce Moore's?
Yep, oh, that's bad.
That's bad. We need those maple trees
Sure.
that I counted 6 that I would remove, and I'm not a tree
Those
harvester.
were supposed to have been removed 3 years ago.
So, I haven't pursued it, but Chris actually hit one about a month ago.
Yeah,
His wing was up and he hit one.
Oh.
And that's why, Butch got me out there. So,
but I'd say that's, I don't know if that whole, I don't know what's available is out there, but
I'll say,
Instruments, call him, they'll
Yeah.
tell you
Yes.
what they can and can't do. He's right there on Route 7.
I think you need somebody bigger than Engstrom.
What
Really?
what
Sure.
about, what's his name?
for the ones on
In Athens.
East Sangerville, you mean?
For,
Or you
well,
just talking
no,
about
I mean,
cutting
for
and
what
chipping?
I'm thinking, yeah, if you went right down through, you could literally ride right down.
Link letter.
Yeah.
Like with the fella bunch
Yeah,
of.
Linkletter.
Linkletter.
I thought
Linkletter.
Instruments was
In
capable of
Athens.
doing
As a minimum, no.
Well, Engstrom's can go out and cut those 6 trees and put them in the pile, but he doesn't have a chipper to chip them up.
He doesn't?
No,
No.
no, those trees.
But we
If
can't
it
spend
was-
any money until after town meeting.
Yeah, but there are certain, I mean, Linkletter comes and if they can take all of the biomass, they
Biomass
don't,
is worth.
nothing right now?
But it pays to get it done.
Subsidies are gone.
Mm. Yeah, but aren't they using that biomass for making their pellets?
They're trying, yeah, they
So-
do, but there's lots of other timber that's available for that too.
And I know when I had my lot cut and I hired Linkletter, and that's what I wanted stripped gone to make pasture. And even then, they had the pellet mill and they wanted biomass, but it's Linkletter, they know how to make $1. So.
Did they charge you?
No, I didn't think I had anything there, I thought
Right.
it was 100% biomass. And they cut that lot and they saved every log out of it they could, and I got a pretty good check when they were done. So.
Yeah, I did mine I'm down in Litchfield. I got 25 cents a ton.
So we want to
It
go
added
with
up.
somebody
But I
that
mean,
will pay us,
but they
not
don't
pay
necessarily
That's
just
right,
biomass.
that's
them.
right.
Linkletter then.
No, I
Yeah,
don't know
you
what,
could
they're
call
chipping, I
them.
don't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Call
But
Bruce
the
Linkletter.
federal subsidies on biomassing,
Right.
I believe, have disappeared, that's why
Call
it's not.
Bruce or Linkletter, tell them the Cabots told you to call them. You never know what they're looking for, what they need. They can just go down the road and,
Well, that's it, I mean, how
Who
much
knows?
better could you do, just drive down the road?
down the road. That's
And I mean,
right.
If you figure it out, the width of our roads and there's trees like that on both sides of them that are in our roadway.
Yeah.
Do you have to notify the landowner on each of
They would
those?
all have to be notified,
Yes.
and they would all have to be asked if they want the material.
Oh,
See, that's where you're gonna lose Linkletter.
yeah, when it gets,
Cause you're gonna find out before Linkletter gets there, it either gets cut and tips onto their property, or it gets cut and goes.
Right, but I mean, you're gonna lose him in terms of doing it
Interest,
for free.
interest.
He's gonna become a service that you pay for.
Not until you find out who wants it and who don't.
Well, the interstate, for example, do you see what they're doing there?
oh, yeah.
That median, all those trees belong to them, they're not going to any landowners.
Right.
So for them, they can look at that and say, okay, this has
It's
value,
worth it.
I know what I'm
Right.
getting.
Right.
But this thing is gonna be a hodgepodge. That tree you can take, that one you gotta leave.
As long as they're
Who's
all
gonna
cut
mark
at
them
the
all?
end of the day,
As long as what?
it's no different than right now with brush cutting. You're not supposed to cut brush unless you ask the landowner.
Oh, I think as long as you're, get enough rod to your road,
But I'm not asking to be any different, but it's the same scenario, you still have to ask the landowner. Just like with ditching, if you ditch, that's within our rod of our road.
I'll tell you, Central Maine Power or the telephone company, they're not asking before they spray.
Correct.
Nobody's getting notified. So I don't know how the rules are different for them.
That's another good question.
But we're not doing any of it until next year, because we don't have any money. Be a good time of year to do it, though. Correspondence done?
Well, I'm not sure if this one's under item 9 or 10. This is Earl Richardson from Moosehead Cable actually came in today to talk to me, and he does the cable from Moosehead. And he's affiliated with Premium Choice out of Bangor, I believe, as well. Anyway, they're getting ready to put in cabinets for Pleasant Ave down straight through Dowdy Hill. And he was asking if we would consider letting them put a cabinet on the town property, which would be the town garage. He's already hooked into the poles by Robinson's, so he said that's an ideal location. He doesn't really want to go to the landowner because landowners will have a fit. Or
They'll want compensation.
change their mind, or, but, so he was kind of hoping that he could put one of those cabinets, you know. There's one down here on the corner of Dowdy Hill by the bridge that Fairpoint has. It'll actually be smaller than that cabinet.
And he'd wanna put it near the pole, which is in the middle of our driveway.
Yes.
You really want that in the middle of your driveway?
And he's a
I'm wondering if we
private
can go-
cable guy?
Yeah, it's Moosehead Cable.
It's a local business, I mean, would you let any other local business put something in on our property? Probably not.
His solution is just, if he has to deal with a private citizen, they're gonna want compensation. That's
Correct.
That's right,
If you
that's
deal with
right.
us, he's hoping we'll just put it there. But like Dale said, it's not really an optimal spot
No.
for us.
I wondered if he could do like either end of the driveway, be out of the way.
Yeah, because what if somebody clips it
Wouldn't-
back in the...
it would be one
back
thing
in
if you
the-
wanted
yeah,
cable.
that
Be a
100 in,
DFO.
There you
right?
go.
And then we clip it.
Yeah, it's
And
our
then we've got-
responsibility.
yeah.
to take it
Something
out.
else for us to plow around.
That's right, and clip.
And like I
I
said,
don't
it'd
see
be
a
one thing
benefit
if
for
the
us
town
having it.
wanted
Well, the
cable,
benefit is for the
town doesn't want.
townspeople. It's for the taxpayer because they're gonna be
Doesn't
available.
benefit.
Because what they're looking at in the future is bringing, not fiber. Yeah, I think fiber.
Oh, he's gonna get his
Yeah.
box, it's just a question of whether he's gonna,
Put it on our property.
yeah, compensate somebody for it or not.
That's the bottom line.
Well, I did bring up franchise fees and he said we've never paid before, so I said,
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
He'll probably find a landowner that can't wait to get cable and say, put your box right here.
that's true.
So I don't think we need to.
Talking to the guy that lives across the street from one of these boxes and gets to listen to it.
It does make noise,
Hours of the
doesn't
day
it?
and night.
You do, right?
Yes, I do.
And
The
it-
most annoying thing I've ever heard. And the
Whoa.
more people that are on the internet, the louder that gets. 'Cause
Is
the
that
humming.
Yeah,
right?
because the fan and it has a cooling system in it, so the more use, the more it generates heat and the louder it gets.
probably like from 6 to 8 in the morning and then like 5 to 9 at night.
5 to 9 at night when you'd love to sit out on your deck and relax and you get to listen to.
It's like being in
Oh.
the city.
Oh, that's
It's worse.
terrible. That,
So if somebody came to you and wanted to put one on your property, you'd pass.
Oh, I'd love to have them put it on my property.
Why?
Money,
Oh, you're gonna charge them.
No,
rental.
I'm gonna clean it out. I'd back into it, I would do anything I could, just so I wouldn't have to listen to it. It's not on my property, I can't do anything about it, but if it was
so
on
it's
my
right
property.
across the street
Yep,
from,
it's right across the street.
so it's right near Jerry's.
It's right up,
Yeah,
Other
yeah.
way, right by the camp road.
Yep, I've seen it. Nope, okay.
Item 10, additional agenda items.
That's it. I did have a furnace repaired here and at the town garage today.
repair
Repair?
or service?
Repair.
What the heck was wrong with it?
We had a frozen loop in the main office, and then Tom was in yesterday because my sink was frozen, but I got that defrosted before he got here. But he took me downstairs, and in the furnace room, there's well, it's like a pressure relief valve,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been dripping into a bucket forever.
Sorry that-
And so when A. Robinson came today to fix our loop, they opened the valve, and I guess it leaked even more than it was leaking. So they're like, we need to fix that. So they
You know,
fixed
say,
it.
aren't we on some presidential plan?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part of our,
That's all perfect.
And
Service.
then, yeah.
Good,
And
good.
the
That's paying
blower
off.
motor, Rick called me this morning and said, I mean, not even 10 minutes after I called him about the town office, you could hear it over the phone, and it was just a whining.
Yeah, the bearing goes.
So they
Worse
went
than you
there
think.
next.
good. Good. Okay.
Our
But
insurance
it-
policy is working.
Could
That's
you-
right.
Or have them check, because we froze it when we first got the heat pumps. They froze this building right up tight.
Oof.
Water weren't circulating. for the
Well,
boiler.
that's it. He said to turn off the
No, he can put you can put something on the circulator pump so that just circulates water once in a while.
Oh, because your thermostats weren't kicking
Right,
on. and so-
right.
Yep.
they weren't
So
calling
they
for
were
hot water,
supposed
so
to do
they weren't
something, so the
circulating.
circulators would circulate every so often.
Okay.
So I'm kinda wondering,
Do something.
that was the fix, and why are we having, I mean, I understand we've had an extremely cold snap, but still, if those were circulating, it shouldn't have froze up, even with the furnace not running.
That it? No executive session? We adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor? Yeah.
Oh, you forgot to tell me to start my truck.
Oh, shoot, sorry.